Hey guys, super excited to be bringing you the first addition to my flight sim rig as I try and build something that's a bit more sophisticated than my basic HOTAS right now, and that is these Logitech rudder pedals. So let's take a look and see what's inside the box. Obviously, there isn't a whole lot going on here. We get the basic set of pedals here, and we get the some additional pieces that can be optionally set down to stop the pedals creeping on the floor against a back wall or whatever, and making sure they have enough clearance so that the pedals keep working. Other than that, not a whole lot going on with them. Not a whole lot of setting up needs to be done. Single USB device. So let's just take a quick look at them and see how they feel on the floor. For the kind of price point I'm looking at for spending on pedals, it was a 2-horse race. Really, Logitech and Honeycomb Charlie pedals were the two that were in serious contention. I know you can spend a lot more on almost every aspect of flight sim building, but this was basically where I was at. And in terms of the differences between those two, it seemed like build quality in terms of build material was going to be the big differentiator. The Logitech that I've opted for is made out of plastic versus the Honeycomb, which is made out of metal. And so there's going to be a significant difference, I imagine, in how they feel. But I will say, just looking at these and just feeling them and putting them on the ground, they don't feel like you got a massively inferior product with the plastic, especially with the price difference. These feel good. I'm pretty optimistic. I did notice some early reviews talk about the sound that is made, and this is most notable as you switch from the rudder leaning either to the left or the right, and you can hear there is an audible noise. I don't hear it when I'm playing because I have my my headphones on, but I'll be interested to know if my wife notices and starts to say anything about a weird noise as I'm playing. So that will follow up with that, and when I get around to a final review. The only real thing that you've got to tweak or control on these is this dial, which adjusts how heavy the pedals basically are. So you can set the tension to be lighter or heavier, and that really basically changes how much effort you are required to put in to move them. I'm leaning towards having a bit of a heavier feel, but I'm a bigger guy, so that's more preferable for me. Your mileage may vary. I'm super excited to give these a shot though, so let's just get the simulator fired up and see how they do. Jumping right in, let's quickly configure a free flight. Thinking of somewhere with some wind that I might have to counter as I taxi at speed, so Boston Logan was the first place that came to mind because that airport is literally right on the water. Without any configuration within the flight simulator itself, just having the rudder pedals connected via USB, they work straight out the gate. Throwing the view into third person quickly, I can see that as I move the pedals left and right, I can see the rudder moving on the aircraft. Perfect. So with no real intent to take off, I just start accelerating down the runway and see how they feel. And the amount of control I have compared to the buttons on the HOTAS is incredible. I do keep mixing up the left and right rudder action pedals, which is something I'm going to have to work on, but the brake action is responsive and it feels natural, so I'm feeling pretty good about this. I do a quick takeoff here, loop around, want to see how I can handle the nose as I come in for a landing. This isn't something I ever really tried to do with the HOTAS, just because the buttons were too difficult to manage with finesse. So if I tried to put any nose correction on with the HOTAS, I'd usually just give it 100% and not achieve what I wanted to do. So using the pedals for the first time, try and get some finesse, it doesn't go well. I think I went the wrong way, yeah, you can see why. Not brilliant. Again though, not to be deterred, and I think I'm managing things a little bit better on this pass. I don't crash, so that's a bonus, but I'm definitely going to have some work to do here. So my initial thoughts, I'm super excited to start using these. I'm excited from a flight simulator perspective, I'm excited because it, I think, opens the door for me to start looking at the helicopter aspect of the game, which wasn't something I wanted to do while using the HOTAS for rudder control. And I think there's going to be a bit of a learning curve with how taxiing on aircraft is done, especially when it comes to maneuvering the aircraft around, just because of the fact that it's not that you just move one pedal and that actuates the rudder. You essentially move both at once, and it's going to take a little bit of memory muscle for me to naturally move left and right and figure that out, but you know, that'll come with time. I'm sure I'll mess up along the way. And as well with the brakes, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing how different aircraft handle the variable brake control, which isn't something I've tested yet. So I've noticed in some of the higher powered prop planes that the moment you take the ground brake off, the plane's creeping forwards. And for me with the HOTAS, I'm just constantly tapping the brake because it's basically all on or all off as I hit that button. There's no sensitivity to that button. So I'm hoping that I can start to get a bit more finesse on the control of that, so that I can maybe just apply a constant measure of brake and not just be rocking the plane back and forwards as it goes. So those are things I'm really looking forward to getting onto. The first flight, I definitely, it wasn't as smooth as I expected or as smooth as I hoped, but I really like the additional control it's bringing. So I'm gonna be using these from now on, and I dare say it might be a step backwards before it's a step forwards for how it impacts my control. But once I've had a chance to adjust my gameplay around using this and it's a bit more second nature, I think it's going to be a big enhancement to the flight sim experience. And so once I get to that point, I will give a deeper review on my thoughts and feelings. But for now, this is my initial impressions, and I look forward to seeing how well it helps me stick those landings. All right, thank you guys.